Okay, so I wanted to start a really quick thing on my channel here about DeepSeek because I'm using the hell out of it, and I've got a backlog of projects I'm trying to get done. But holy crap, is this thing incredible! And I mean this. I'm no hyperbole here. This is honestly, this is what OpenAI promised. This is what I've been paying OpenAI and Claude and YouTube, the Google notebooks and Gemini. I've been paying out for all these services, and they really have not delivered. And I was actually putting together a really lengthy video about how to use these services to actually get what you want. Because the trick with AI right now, at least in my experience, has been you give it a prompt, it gets close to what you want. If you're not really good at what you do, you're not going to notice the little mistakes it makes. And then as it continues, it starts to snowball. These mistakes become bigger and bigger, and it becomes obsessed almost with making the same type of mistake over and over. Like OpenAI, uh, regularly when I use ChatGPT 401X, whatever the latest one is, it would mess up one tiny little thing at the very end of what I was working on, um, and then act like it wasn't wrong. And then I would say, this particular thing is wrong, fix it. And it would say, okay, now I fixed it. And it would give me this big ass explanation of, here's all the stuff I did that's going to make it all right. Everything's perfect now. And none of it would be true. It would just be a flat out lie. And so seeing all the hype from people about how AI is going to take programmer jobs, it's just complete bullshit. And I will stand by that, because every programmer that I've ever met has a backlog of stuff that they wanted to do, really big stuff that they thought, this is going to help people, this is going to at least help me or change the world, whatever. Everyone has this, but no one, in every case, everyone is faced with the same problem. It's time. You just don't have time to do this stuff, and you don't have time to debug it. Like my time now, and I don't remember what it was like when I started programming 35 years ago, roughly. At that time, I think a lot of my time, actually really trying to remember it, I think a lot of my time was spent trying to figure out how to do things, so like the little details. Now it's 10% doing the stuff, and then like 90% figuring out where I made a mistake, fixing the bugs, basically. Because in my mind, everything fits perfectly and works perfectly. And then every time I find a bug, it turns out to be something that, stupid, that I oversaw, that didn't catch. So for me, being able, this is what I just did a few minutes ago, and this just blew me away. I took a piece of code that I'm staring at all day. I've been trying to get this one thing to work right, and it's not working right. And I went to ChatGPT, and I had been working with ChatGPT on some things, and it was not working. And I would ask it, how do I fix this? It would give me something back. I would go plug it in, and I would look at it and think, this can't possibly work. And it does not work, and it's just garbage. And this was going over and over and over. And I did the same thing with Claude. Claude would show me some stuff, do a little readout. 90% of the time, the readout looks great. The exported code doesn't work. I've got all kinds of issues there. Then I, in frustration, went to DeepSeek, just because I've had some good experiences with DeepSeek recently, and I've got an open source version running on my Mac M4, my Mac Mini, and it works great. So I went to the full version online, and I just copy and pasted in my half-assed code, and this is not the entire code, just part of it, and a really, really poor explanation of what I was trying to do, and it just went and just spit out the perfect solution. It was like, it was flawless. I copy and pasted it, and it worked. It wasn't it kind of worked, or it half worked. It just worked. And I am blown away by this. And so I have a suite of problems that I've been trying to figure out for years, that are from old projects that I never finished, things I always thought would be cool, but I hadn't seen anyone else try, that kind of stuff. I have taken almost every one of those projects into DeepSeek at this point and said, how would you solve this? And it handed me working code that will solve it, every one of the problems I've run into. It solved every one of them. I mean, I without exception on the first or second try. Meanwhile, I can ask the same thing from ChatGPT, the full version that I'm paying for, and it will say, here you go, and it will include crap that doesn't exist, like calls into frameworks that don't exist, or just make the worst, stupidest mistakes. And it just every time I'm like, hey, why did you say to do this? And it would say, oh, I'm sorry, it's an oversight. I didn't know that you wanted that. That's crazy. Why would anyone suggest that? And it would just keep doing this over and over. My God, is it frustrating. So and I heard that they're talking about banning DeepSeek. So I just wanted to say a few things about that real quick. So yeah, it's not a little better. It's genuinely 100% good at what it does. This is God mode for programming. This is a tool that I, as a programmer, can sit down and take and just boom, does stuff. Now, I'm not using hyperbole here. If you know the stuff I worked on, you might know about CodeWalker. It's my tool that I use to debug other people's code. It helps me visualize it and see it in 2 and 3D and analyze it and look for all kinds of security issues and bugs and all kinds of stuff. I am absolutely mixing DeepSeek in with CodeWalker. In the very near future, I've already begun massively expanding what CodeWalker is capable of. I'm going to be running it as what I call an agent control system, so that it can spawn DeepSeek agents and run them and give you the results back. I've been using it for adding penetration testing, crypto tracking, and multi-language support to CodeWalker, and it's working great. I'm just blown away. This is people talk about the 10x programmer. This is easily doing in minutes what would normally take me weeks, and I'm shocked at how good it is. So I'm doing that. In Glycon, I've already started adding some capabilities to Glycon I didn't think would be possible in the near future at all. And it knows how to do stuff. It knows how to do stuff that there weren't words for. I had to come up with concepts, and it would say, "Hey, what if we did this, this, this?" And it's like, "Okay, let's call this a blah blah blah, and here's how you do it." I don't know what to tell you. So this is amazing. It's just completely amazing. And the first time I would say this is the first time that I've used a product that made me feel like this ever. Maybe except the first time I used a Macintosh. The Macintosh, the first time I used it and I drew something on the screen and everything just kind of clicked for me. And I was able to make stuff work because I was already using computers at the time, but I never used a Mac. And the first time I used it to draw something and I played around with the UI and everything just kind of like seemed almost magical. That's how I feel about this moment right now. I'm basically, as soon as I'm done with the current swath of client stuff, and I've got a bit of it that I'm behind on, that this is massively helping me with. I'm going to resurrect all of my old projects and drag everything back up and redo everything now that I have the ability to fix a lot of the problems that I didn't have time to fix before. And I bet a lot of other programmers are feeling the same way. Every programmer I know has a backlog of shit they'd like to do, and they just don't have time for it. So this is just amazing. But and I've said this before, but before AI takes over, we're going to have this thing that happens in the world where there'll be this explosion of really cool stuff, really cool software, and that leads into really cool hardware, and that leads into really cool stuff in the real world. We're going to see an explosion of robotics and assistance and some tools that people haven't even thought of before that don't realize they are missing in their lives. We're going to see all kinds of cool shit in the probably next year as a result of this the AI explosion. I mean, I'm already using it. I've already started building some really cool stuff. For example, this avocado peeler face hugger thing. Um, no, I'm kidding. That's not AI. That's just a crazy idea. But my point is, there is a ton of stuff that's out there that people are making and are going to make in the very near future because of AI. And I don't know what to tell you. If you're not using it, you need to check it out. You need to check it out. And DeepSeek's free. Now, a lot of people are worried that DeepSeek is going to steal their information. Okay, I get that. I totally understand that. You are uploading, the cloud is just someone else's computer. You're uploading your code to someone else's computer unless you're running it locally. But I gotta say, it, so far, I'm not uploading code that's better than what I'm seeing. Like, there's nothing that I'm doing, with very few exceptions, that I feel like are that big of a trade secret that someone over in China is going to look at and go, "Ooh, has been worth it." Creating this massive AI and giving it away for free and running it on our servers was totally worth it to get this piece of code that they were asking the AI to fix. You see what I'm saying? This is like a Trojan horse, but the horse is filled with gold instead of instead of anything else. That's the best analogy I can think of. I can't I can't explain this well enough, I guess. What the hell could China want from us that's better than this that we would be giving it? Because we're only feeding this our problems and it's solving them. Like, I'm missing something. It's not like I'm giving it my bank info. What I'm giving it is my problems, and it's giving me solutions. So if that's the trade-off, hey China, here are my problems, and they're just like, hey, here are your free solutions. That's better than any trade deal I can think of. I mean, honestly, we've been using China to do our work for years. I think everyone realizes that, right? That's why everything says made in China. But what we're looking at right now is a situation where this bot in China is doing the work for us for free. I get the feeling, and I'm thinking about this, there's a weird analogy, okay, with Uber, where let's say that 10 years ago or so, you might have a situation where, or 20 years ago, you have a situation where people would say, don't talk to strangers on the internet. Don't meet them in real life. And then now we're like, hey, come pick me up. I want to pay you to take me across town, and everyone's fine with that. But I know what the difference is. It's that we pay for it. And see, if DeepSeek was expensive, then people wouldn't have a problem with it. If you were hiring a guy in China to solve your problems, people wouldn't have a problem with it. It's the fact that it's free that makes it feel weird. Does that make sense? I think it does. I think for me, if I hired a guy, if I went on Craigslist and I said, I'm looking for a programmer to solve this really hard programming problem, and some guy in China popped up, and first I'd think, why is he checking out the Craigslist listings in Texas? But if he popped up and was like, hey, I'll solve it for you, that's going to cost you $10,000. I might look at that and go, it's it might be worth it. If he can solve it. Um, a few years ago, actually, I outsourced one of my math problems to a German physicist, a Russian professor, a Japanese professor, and an American, let's say it's an intern at a robotics company. And I paid each of them the same amount of money, which was a lot, and it was basically all the money I had at the time. None of them solved the problem, and it took every one of them about a week. DeepSeek solved it in one try, and it took about 20 seconds. Now, I have paid for that problem to be solved in the past, and they didn't give me a solution. I had to figure it out myself, and it took me a solid month. And I had to learn a bunch of math that I'm glad I learned, but I mean, frankly, it was a ton of work. Um, DeepSeek just knew the answer, like it was nothing, effortless. This just blows me away. And I think that that's the thing. I think that as long as we're getting it for free, it feels weird. Like I'm paying a lot of money to OpenAI for the services that I'm getting, and it's really not worth it. I'm paying less to Claude. I think I'm getting better results from Claude. But every time that OpenAI makes an announcement, they come out and they say this new thing is the greatest thing ever, and oh my God, this is going to solve all your problems. And it doesn't. It's the same crap they gave us the last time with a new shiny face. And this new not the research thing, the new one of the research model, I guess, or whatever that's called, that has the logic that it's thinking. If you read that stuff, it's just stupidest crap you can imagine. They compare it to the DeepSeek version of the same thing. And I'm sorry if I sound like I'm a DeepSeek fanboy here, but it solved my problems. And the OpenAI crap that I'm paying for won't solve the problems. See the difference? Of course, I'm going to be a fanboy. If I was paying 10 times as much to DeepSeek, but getting these results, worth it. 100% worth it. So this is a God mode. This is it's a godsend. It's like God mode for programming. No wonder they're trying to ban it here. It doesn't surprise me at all. It undercuts the entire AI, the AI ecosystem, the AI industry in the United States. It makes us look really, really bad. And I think part of that is because our AIs are mostly closed source. Now, I don't know all the ins and outs. I know there are some open source models out there, but the ones I've been using that have given me any kind of decent results were all closed source. And I don't know what to say. This app already does things that these other models aren't touching. So I want to one other thing I want to talk about is uh, you you might hear that it's a security risk to the OpenAI the DeepSeek represents a security risk. Let me be really honest with you. CodeWalker is capable of doing some very sinister things if I wanted it to. I have kept those capabilities out of it. The ability to read code and understand it and find security flaws um, is one step away from building a penetration testing system that would be very difficult to prevent, because automating the ability to find flaws in web service architecture, well, frankly, I mean, a lot of it's open source. So if I find if CodeWalker found a flaw and I wanted to exploit it for some nefarious reason, I could do that way faster than anyone could patch it. This level of AI is absolutely capable of that. So if we're worried about, oh no, what if this is a security risk? I guarantee that if this was closed source, and I suspect there are closed source versions of this that already exist, those security issues have been compromised a long time ago. This is not a situation where someone is just now thinking, hey, what if we use this for evil? No, that's like probably one of the first things they thought of. The first thing that anyone thinks of when you create a new technology is this going to end up in the wrong hands? Are they going to is someone going to use this the wrong way? Um, I mean, just hacking in general works like that, and that's kind of the fun of hacking is you get to you do something and you think, oh well, what's a negative consequence of this? How do I prevent that? You kind of try to circumvent that. And as a software developer, I'm always constantly trying to figure out how to prevent hackers from breaking encryption for my software products or breaking the passwords and stuff. But and AI like this, it could be infinitely good at that, way better than a human could. And so I don't think this represents a security risk. I think the security risk probably already exists, and it probably is not being patched because it probably is something people don't know about. Um, Handing off your problems to an AI to fix them, I don't see how that's a security risk when that same AI could very easily just, run through your entire government's data probably pretty easily without you knowing it. And I think that's the reality of the world we're living in right now. A really good hack would by an AI probably would not be detectable by a human, and probably won't be if it covers its tracks. And if it doesn't cover its tracks, it probably won't be noticed for a long time. And then we'll just assume that it was a fluke or something. Um, you can look at other things like stock market trading. An AI like this could very easily create and it, it could create a system that could be used for a stock market manipulation. But again, China, with all of its resources and this kind of technology, probably already does some form of stock market manipulation. It would be foolish of them not to, and it would be foolish of American companies not to. That's why I don't trade in stock. I don't see a way that I could compete with some of these companies. That's probably a bad idea. I probably shouldn't get into it. Anyway, um, education. I mean, this seems to. I've asked it some really, really difficult stuff. Everything from protein folding to some just general help with some neurology stuff I was looking at, and it knows everything. It knows it a lot better than Google does. I get much better results than if I search for stuff on Google. I can ask it to summarize papers, and it does a fantastic job of that. So um, I see this as a tool that can be used very easily to teach you stuff. And the NVIDIA guy is saying that everyone needs to have a personal learning assistant. I 100% agree with that. One of the things I use OpenAI for, ChatGPT for, is learning stuff. When I'm in the car by myself, I just turn it on instead of just listening to the radio, and I go into the voice activated mode and I ask it to teach me something about some topic I'm interested in, and I learn stuff. And I learn it so much better than in college because I can or in high school because I can ask stupid questions. I can ask stupid questions over and over and really drill into the parts that I don't understand without any kind of judgment coming from the other side and without having to hold up the class. My fellow classmates probably remember that about me, that I was not a fast learner. I feel like I'm pretty good at stuff once I figured it out, but man, it took me a long time to learn a bunch of stuff. So this is really, really cool in that regard. That's ChatGPT. The DeepSeek thing doesn't have a voice version yet. But this whole AI thing, this is a world changing moment. And if you hear a politician talking about how this is leaking valuable information, I think that what they mean is it makes us look bad. That's the information that they're leaking. China is, as far as I can tell, way ahead of us on the AI front at this point. And maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But right now, I mean, it's solving the problems that our best AIs can't solve. So it kind of feels like they're ahead. And honestly, if you think about this, if you have a tool that can know something and learn something and figure out how to make it better, and solve its own problems, it's probably going to do that much faster than a human could. So you have a tool that's already going to make itself better. This gets into a feedback loop very quickly, and then very quickly you are way, way, way behind whoever comes up with this first. It sounds like they're already at the tipping point. So does it matter? Does it matter if they're ahead of us? Does it matter if they're behind us? I don't know. That's up to the future historians, I guess. But I feel like this should be a wake up call to U.S. companies, and not in a way that they need to make a press release and claim that they're going to come up with something better. They need to actually be working on something better. We are, in my opinion, the United States is now officially behind in the AI war, and that's not a place where you can be behind for very long without being way behind. So I'm hoping that they figure this stuff out. Banning it, that's not the right way to do it. So Anyway, I just wanted to make this video and make these points clear before I get back to work on stuff. But man, if you haven't tried out DeepSeek, it's kicking ass. And it sounds like they may ban it, so maybe go try it out before they do that. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks.